5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Manhattan Project was a covert operation carried out by the United States to develop the atomic bomb at the end of World War II. The development of the atomic bomb had a revolutionary impact in that it changed warfare, led to the diverse uses of nuclear energy, and posed a constant threat to humanity. This devastating weapon annihilated more than 120,000 people and injured more than 70,000. The world has now been introduced to the most lethal weapon, and there is no turning back.
One of the many significant figureheads of the project was Albert Einstein. His involvement with the secret operation was indirectly prompted by Hitler's persecution of Jewish scientists. Hitler denounced Einstein and his theories, and as a result, Einstein, along with many other scientists, fled Germany seeking asylum and safety in the United States. Hungarian physicist Leo Szilard, who escaped fascist Italy to reside in the United States, feared that the Germans would discover the atomic bomb before the United States. Germany had already stopped newly occupied Czechoslovakia from selling the United States any more uranium ore, and thus the United States needed another source to retrieve the primary element to make the atomic bomb.
Szilard's frustration and fear that Germany would discover the atomic bomb first led him to contact Albert Einstein, his close friend and one of the world's most famous scientists, to catalyze progress toward developing the bomb. Einstein, though a pacifist, agreed to help with the bomb and feared Germany's acquisition of such a powerful weapon. Szilard persuaded Einstein to write to the Belgian Queen Mother to warn her against selling her country's uranium ore to the Germans. Einstein agreed, and Szilard wrote a long letter to the president. Alexander Sachs, the advisor of President Roosevelt, was to deliver the letter but delayed transferring it to him due to Roosevelt's concentration of Germany's invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939. The attack provoked France and Great Britain into a war with Germany, which left President Roosevelt with the decision of whether the United States should enter the war.
After finally reading the letter on October 11, the president agreed to appoint a uranium advisory committee and allocated $6,000, a figure that would grow to more than $2 billion, for the materials and uranium to continue experiments. After the Japanese bombing on Pearl Harbor, the United States was more determined than ever to create the atomic bomb to retaliate. By the summer of 1942, U.S. Army Colonel James Marshall was given authority of building and running the bomb's production facilities with headquarters in New York City in the Manhattan Engineering District. The commission later adopted the name that would come to be known as the Manhattan Project.
By the year 1945, the project comprised of nearly 40 laboratories and factories with around 200,000 employees. Some of the scientists involved, aside from Albert Einstein, include Enrico Fermi, Richard Feynman, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and Harold Urey. Leo Szilard realized that neutrons could be sent through the electron shell of another atom. The neutron would then hit the atom's nucleus and be absorbed, causing the atom to split and give off 2 or 3 more electrons, resulting in a release of energy.
In 1934, Enrico Fermi shot neutrons at uranium, which produced new smaller substances, a process known as nuclear fission. The United States needed to acquire a supply of uranium ore, but it was unaware that New Mexico had huge uranium deposits. The United States also had to build plants and factories that would be able to process uranium and plutonium.
The Manhattan Project was carried out in complete secrecy. Roosevelt's vice president, Harry S. Truman, did not even know about the project. The Manhattan Project had a policy of compartmentalization, meaning that scientists working at one site on a certain issue of the project could not discuss or share information with other sites, creating conflict among the scientists.
Scientists came up with 2 methods, the gun method and the implosion method. In the gun method, one piece of material was shot into another, and this created a critical mass, resulting in a chain reaction. In the implosion method, scientists created the same chain reaction by detonating the explosives first. After extensive research, a plutonium bomb that uses the implosion method, named the Fat Man, and a uranium bomb that uses the gun method, named Little Boy, were created.
The Fat Man test, which took place at Los Alamos on July 16, was given the codename Trinity. The scientists and soldiers gathered at 4 a.m. Scientists had to hide in wooden shelters made of concrete and dirt to protect themselves from the impact of the bomb. The countdown began at 5:10 a.m., and the bomb exploded, releasing a light so bright, a ball of fire that was 2,000 feet across and heat that could be felt from miles away. The heat was so intense that it melted the tower and the sand around it, leaving just a crater behind. The mushroom cloud that the bomb created reached 40,000 feet. Shock waves broke windows over 100 miles from the explosions. To cover up their operation, the U.S. Army had to tell the public that the cause was from an explosive story that unintentionally blew up.
Less than a month after Roosevelt died and Truman took office, Germany surrendered and ended the war in Europe. However, war continued in the Pacific, where American bombers attacked Japanese cities daily. Some people believe that the only way to stop the war in the Pacific would be with the introduction of the atomic bomb. Truman organized a group of people to discuss certain issues pertaining to the bomb. On May 25th, Leo Szilard attempted to persuade President Truman to refrain from using the bomb once he realized the bomb's power, but it did to no avail.
On July 26, the United States, Great Britain, and China issued the Potsdam Declaration, stating Japan must surrender or face prompt and utter destruction. In fear of the emperor, whom they considered a divine, holy figure, the Japanese refused complete surrender, which in turn led President Truman to order the dropping of the nation's most powerful weapon. On July 6, the U.S. bomber plane Enola Gay carried Little Boy to Hiroshima, demolishing the city. On July 9, another bomb was detonated on Nagasaki. After this attack, the Japanese finally surrendered on August 14th.
Of the Manhattan Project is one of the most significant turning points in history. It was the beginning of the atomic age. And so you had not only, for the first time, the threat that mankind could destroy himself and herself with atomic weapons. You had all kinds of new sciences that came out of the Manhattan Project, new metallurgy, new chemistry, new physics. You also had supercomputing. Computers were really sort of invented for what was going on at Los Alamos. There were other computer things going on, so you can't say there was one computer invention place, but Los Alamos became a big part of that, and the supercomputing that goes on now for things like the Human Genome Project and climate modeling and all that kind of stuff came about because of what happened during the Manhattan Project.
The United States is responsible for introducing such a destructive and immoral weapon to the battlefield. The atomic bomb casualties study the damaging effects of the atomic bomb, such as cancer, leukemia, sterility, and genetic alteration. However, scientists have discovered a way to harness the destructive properties of the atomic bomb with the creation of nuclear power plants. Nuclear energy used in CAT scans and chemotherapy have revolutionized the medical field. Critics today wonder if the atomic bomb was truly necessary to win the war. Although some wonder if the use of the atomic bomb was even necessary to win in the first place, others believe that the use of the atomic bomb prevented the loss of more lives if the war was to continue. It was argued that Japan was about to surrender anyway due to the increase in its casualties. We may never know if the bomb was truly the reason for ending the war, but we do know that the Manhattan Project is a turning point in our history because it continues to pose a constant threat to humanity. We live in a world where people fear nuclear attacks and nuclear war. The United States heeded Einstein's warning, but now that we have the weapon, we must be very prudent with it. What was once a warning catalyzed to mankind's worst fear.